Crystal and Sagar react. Trump refuses to say he will peacefully transition power. Can you believe it? It's a little old, September 24th. Can you believe that the political climate we're in, something that happened 6 days ago, is now like old news? Well, the coup is, well, it hasn't happened yet. It's still broiling. We're on the horizon. I'm so interested what their take is, you know? Crystal Ball, of course, far left, very principled. I'm sure that she'll recognize the threat to democracy being, you know, grave. And Sagar is an anti-establishment populist conservative, which means Sagar should recognize as a populist any threat to the integrity of democracy is a threat to his political agenda. Populism requires political mechanisms which allow the masses to express themselves. You're either doing that through electoral means or through non-electoral means, but unless he's advocating for a revolution here, he should be looking to ensure the democratic process is maintained. So I'm looking forward to that. Let's see these two intellectual titans at work.
Rather eye-opening moment from President Trump yesterday at a press briefing when he was asked about whether he would commit to a peaceful transfer of power. Let's take a listen.
Right here, Mr. President, real quickly.
I remember this.
Win, lose, or draw in this election, will you commit here today for a peaceful transferal of power after the election? And there has been rioting in Louisville. There's been rioting in many cities across this country, red and your so-called red and blue states. Will you commit to making sure that there is a peaceful transferal of power after the election?
Well, we're going to have to see what happens. You know that I've been complaining very strongly about the ballots, and the ballots are a disaster.
I understand that, but people are rioting. Do you commit to making sure that there's a peaceful transferal of power?
We want to get rid of the ballots, and we'll have a very peaceful. There won't be a transfer, frankly. There'll be a continuation. The ballots are out of control.
So yeah, we've talked about this before. You know, get rid of the ballots, and there won't be a transfer. There will just be a continuation of my power. So he has no interest in a fair election whatsoever. This is clear as day. There's really no ambiguity to it at all, frankly.
You know it, and you know who knows it better than anybody else? The Democrats know it better than anybody else. Go ahead.
And that right there is basically my fear about how Election Day is going to go down, because I'm not of the camp that believes that Trump will actually try to like foment a coup and that the military will have to remove him from office. I mean, Biden and others really genuinely think that. And when he says things like this, like it gives credence to those sorts of views.
This is all over.
No, I don't think I've ever heard Democrats claim that Trump is going to do a military coup. A lot of lefties do this. They're like, they're not going to do a military coup. People aren't talking about a military coup. They're talking about subverting the democratic process, destroying votes, challenging them, and then using a Supreme Court majority to back up that challenge, such that even though Biden is the legitimate winner of the Electoral College vote, it nonetheless goes to Trump because he has cronies in offices everywhere that he'll use to subvert the election. So, yeah, that's the concern.
Over MSNBC today.
Of course, yes. But what scares me is when you have such a fraught, heightened, fiery political environment, deeply divided, deeply tribal, where not only do people hate and mistrust like the elites on the other partisan side of the aisle, but there is deep ugliness and mistrust amongst the citizens themselves. It doesn't take...
Again, very enlightened centrist here. This isn't deep political distrust, generally. This is the president of the United States specifically saying that they're not committing to a centuries-long tradition of peaceful transition of power. This isn't general distrust. This is one party firing off guns into the air, speaking into a megaphone, screaming that they're cheating. We can't play enlightened centrist on this.
President Trump actually trying to foment a coup in order to create a lot of ugly unrest and a potential post-election meltdown. And so you just know, you just know that he is never going to be able to say the thing to like calm the country. He's like constitutionally incapable of doing it. So, well, I'm very much more of the kind of Matt Taibbi school of thought that it's.
That's the real problem that I have with Donald Trump. It's that there are so many hysterical loonies that are gripped by partisan fervor, and Trump just isn't, he's not eloquent enough to say something to calm them down, Not him openly announcing that he's going to be subverting the democratic process. And that's my main issue with Trump. If only he could say something to make people chill out a little bit.
He's like constitutionally incapable of doing it. So, well, I'm very much more of the kind of Matt Taibbi school of thought that it's more useful to think of him in the context of like professional wrestling entertainer who loves to stoke division like for the crowd and loves to just create cliffhangers and tension and whatever versus like, the sort of he's a unique evil Hitler type figure.
So again, first of all, Matt Taibbi is a fucking clown. Second of all, Trump is the president of the United States of America. Third of all, Trump has actively said he won't commit to a peaceful transition of power, actively said the only way that he would is if they throw out ballots, and actively made efforts to secure political power in positions that he would need to throw an election. Like, this isn't, again, this is literally just it's just a joke, guys, except elevated like one tier up for discourse. This is like, he's just like a really crazy professional wrestler, and like everyone's acting so crazy about it. The Dems are just, they're so up in arms about it, but like there's not going to be a coup, guys. Like, she is committed to downplaying this. This is the most aggressively open announcement of a president's intention to defy the democratic will of the people that this country has seen in modern history. And she's out here blaming fucking MSNBC for misleading people into thinking this is a big deal.
I'm much more of the Matt Taibbi school of thought. But the reality is when you're the president and you have a lot of people are really looking to you for direction in what to do next and how to handle all of this, this sort of thing is very troubling.
Yeah, no. And look, all you had to say is
now that we've gotten the far left take from Crystal Ball, let's hear the other side of the aisle. Crystal Ball basically just both sides that entire bit. Let's see where we can go with Sauger.
Democrats are trying to steal the election. We're not going to let them. We've got our own lawyers. And if at the end of the day, if every ballot is counted fairly, yeah, I'll leave. I mean, it's
just
so
say,
hard.
I believe in people.
Nice. Just completely downplaying it. Well, yeah, that's exactly what Trump said, dude. Wow.
Do next and how to handle all of this sort of thing is very troubling.
Yeah, no, and look, all you had to say is the Democrats are trying to steal the election. We're not going to let them. We've got our own lawyers, and if at the end of the day, if every ballot is counted fairly, yeah, I'll leave. I mean,
okay, he said all Trump had to say was blank. I think I missed that point at the beginning. So he isn't saying that Trump said that. He's saying that's what Trump should have said. Let's see.
It's
just
so
say,
hard.
I believe in peaceful transfer of power, but we're not going to lose.
Which is,
right?
yeah, I do think there are these like weird Democratic, the Transition Integrity Project and all these other people which are gaming out scenarios. I mean, that's the real thing too, is I actually think there's like derangement on both sides. Like you have elite liberals are actually planning it's like they want a civil war or something like that. They're like,
oh yeah, dude. It's the liberals who want civil war. Oh yeah. It's the liberals are the ones gunning for civil war. When Trump's out here unable to condemn far-right militias and talking about how everyone's been gunning at him from the start, not condemning QAnon. Jesus fucking Christ. The Republicans have been talking about stockpiling weaponry, waiting for the Civil War for decades now. The right has always been the powder keg, not the left.
We must prepare. Like Mattis can go in and the generals and you're like, hey, this is crazy. And in order not to feed the crazy beast and give them, because they're raising millions of dollars convincing, boomer wine moms out there that this stuff is real, and Trump does himself no favors whenever he says things like this, it should just be about bringing the temperature down and being like, yeah, I'll leave. If the Democrats are trying to steal the election, Hillary's out there saying don't accept the results. After all of that.
No, Hillary is not out there saying don't accept the results. Hillary is out there saying, criticizing Trump's involvement in the election count process. The Democrats have not. Again, he right now is unironically in response to a clip where Trump said that he isn't going to accept the election results if he loses, is saying the Democrats are the ones who are planning electoral interference when they're not even in office right now. What Hillary Clinton said was don't concede, as in wait until all of the votes are counted, wait for the legal battle to be settled, don't just hand it to them. Literally, this is the most blatant projection imaginable. This clip is one in which Trump is saying he won't accept a loss. And Sauger is out here going, well, he should be more calm because there are all these crazy Democrats who want to steal the election. These people are lunatics.
If we count the ballots and I lose fair and square, then so be it.
He's never said that, though. And there's a reason why he never said that. Sauger's like, yeah, he should just say this. There's a reason why he's never said that. And it's because he's not going to accept a loss. That's the thing. Trump is like, yeah, I think it's good when you kill black people. And Sauger's like, well, obvious. Okay, people are making a big deal of this. Now, what he should have said there was that it's not good when people kill black people, you know. But like, that's obviously like what he meant to say. And, you know, he should have just said you shouldn't kill black people because all these crazy wine mom boomers are raising a bunch of money based off Democrats making a big fuss about this. Like, this is the level of downplaying here is what I would expect a fucking battered housewife to defend her husband with, you know? I feel like I'm talking to an abuse victim, except this guy makes millions of dollars selling the abuse back to the dipshits who actually listen to him. You know, this is an unbelievable level of apologia. Trump voters have always done this, by the way. Trump voters have always been the first up to lick his boots, even when they're covered in shit. They'll do anything. They'll say anything to defend him, to reframe, to gaslight. His fucking simp army.
I mean, is it so hard?
Yes, for him, he will never, ever, ever say those words.
Yeah.
And that's what's so
he doesn't
scary.
believe it.
All the incentives all the way around in our politics is to escalate, to paint your opponent and, you know, the potential election outcome.
Democrats don't escalate. I wish Democrats escalated. Democrats don't escalate. Republicans do. Democrats back down. That was your criticism of them, Crystal Ball. For your entire career, you spent your whole career talking about how establishment Democrats are betas who back down constantly. And now you're flipping that narrative so you can play both sides in response to a clip where the President of the United States is openly announcing that not only will he not accept a loss should it come through, but that he will use his power as the President of the United States to interfere with the electoral outcomes. These people have no integrity.
Not going your way as like the literal end of the country. And both of these campaigns are doing that. Both of them, I mean, from Trump, it's like they're going to indoctrinate your country, your children, and this is the end of America, and that's it. Like, it's over for you. And on the Democratic side, obviously, you know, he's like, they see him as literally Hitler. And so that's what continues to...
Notice the imbalance there. Notice that difference. When she's characterizing both parties, she correctly says that Trump describes Democrats as the end of America, but all she can do is bring up a 2016 era, literally Hitler 4chan tier straw man that they make about Trump. Trump has literally said that Antifa and the Democrats want to destroy America and destroy the suburbs. The only people who have said that Trump is literally Hitler are dipshits on liberals on Twitter who get ratioed. Notice how even in this both sidesing, she can't think of anything better than a 4chan straw man. Whereas the criticisms she makes of Trump are an accurate reflection of his belief.
To make me so nervous about all of this, like, forget whoever even wins Election Day. Do we survive the weeks to come after Election Day, especially if there's some kind of an uncertain result? And it creates an opening for him to say things like this and gin up the Kyle Rittenhouses of the world to get out there. I mean, look, in Louisville last night, we had ugly clashes on the street. This is happening in America already with such an incredibly tense, fraught election with two sides, the core base of which feel that the stakes are literally life or death existential. It creates an incredibly volatile and potentially combustible situation.
Yeah,
what if there actually is an existential threat? This fucking centrism, dude. She's supposed to be the left-leaning side. Why is she playing both sides? Remember, that's the format of the show. Sauger is supposed to be the right populist. Crystal Ball is supposed to be the left populist. But nothing she said here is left populist. She's just been playing enlightened centrist. There is no difference between what she is saying and what I could have expected to see Tim Pool saying back in 2017 before he completely embraced being a far-right hack.
I think that's right, which is that it's incumbent, I think, on everybody to just say, take it down a little bit. This doesn't help. And the political
Not everybody. Trump. You're responding to a Trump clip. You played one clip and it was of Trump. What is all this? Both sides need to take it down a notch. He admitted he wouldn't accept an election loss. It's the clip of him. The clip was of him. You can't keep both sidesing it. You haven't found a clip of Nancy Pelosi talking about if Trump wins, they're going to fucking enter DEFCON 1 and fire nukes at the heartland of America to rid ourselves of the Republican plague, because Democrats don't do that. Democrats don't escalate. They're pussies. They're babies. All they care about is securing the next round of corporate donations. Republicans have the added responsibility of making sure they meet their black people slaughtered by the police quota. They have shit to do. The idea that Democrats and Republicans are escalating to equivalent degrees when Democrats have spent their entire presidency kowtowing to Republicans is fucking ludicrous. Crystal Ball made herself off of criticizing the Democrats and their propensity to compromise. And now she's saying they're equally participatory in this system where both sides escalate. It's incomprehensible. This is idiotic. Why do you even need Crystal Ball here? They're like a two-man act. Crystal Ball just sets up what Sauger gets to conclude. Crystal Ball is like the fucking idiot straight man that the clown Sauger gets to fucking juggle knives around. Well, you don't need to argue with each other. Crystal Ball, Trump did something bad here, but, Democrats are also kind of bad. And then Sauger says, yeah, Democrats are pretty bad. That's the only sentiment I'm taking from your sentence. And that's it. That's all of the Rising. That's every Rising skit. This clip of Republicans doing a bad thing, undescribably terrible thing, really reminded me of how universally and both-sidedly bad our political process is. Crystal, you're completely right. The Democrats really have fucked our political process over. I'm a far-right populist. I'm not pro-establishment. By the way, you should vote for Trump, guys. You should vote for Trump. But, Crystal, do you think the people should vote for Biden? No, I don't really care. I just think that, whichever direction things go, that's bad because people are all crazy and I'm smart. Yeah, I completely agree. Vote for Trump, by the way. I can't stand these fucking people. But we're going to be watching them every goddamn motherfucking clip they put out, okay? We're going to be hammering these people, all right? We're going to be hammering these people because I hate them. I hate everything these people represent about political discourse. These people are a fucking pipeline to the right.
Is not actually towards that. The political incentive
not at all.
is to what
to
he's
ratchet
saying.
Up.
And same with Biden and the MSNBC. This is the greatest thing that ever happened to MSNBC. And we should understand that. Which
Look!
Is they love these fantasy scenarios and the Civil War is coming and all this other stuff. It's not good, Crystal. It's not good at all.
Yeah, that's it. It's MSNBC that loves the Civil War narrative. That's totally fucking accurate. Yes, MSNBC is the agency which is most interested in the look at his face. He knows he's lying. Dude, all Republicans have been talking about for years is Civil War. That's it. That's it. Democrats don't talk about it.
Not at all. Tomorrow on Rising, we're going to...
Great, cool. Fuck you. Fuck these people. Holy shit. I can't believe how dishonest they are. I think this video actually has more dislikes than most of their videos do. This is not a both sides are wrong issue. Jesus, Sauger with the deflection. Dude should be an NHL goalie. Sauger is trying so hard to shift the blame. I love how Sauger is trying to make the thought of even preparing for a president who won't leave office by liberals as radical, but actually saying you won't peacefully transfer power somehow isn't and is just a troll. Sauger never gives Trump any agency. He's always saying Trump doesn't do himself any favors. Then he'll proceed to say Dems are crazy for taking Trump at his word. Sauger's objective opinion sure sounds a lot like blame shifting. I feel like the show's starting to get lopsided. Watch how soft they are on Trump. Sauger is so smug at his willful blindness. I can barely watch this show anymore. The both sides commentary is beyond absurd at this point. Yep. Yeah, if the troglodytes who watch Rising, I'm sorry, that's mean. If the wonderful and smart people who watch Rising are noticing your bullshit, you've pulled it way the fuck too far. My main issue here, though, is that they're all blaming Sauger. Dude, Crystal was as, if not worse, it was equally, at the very least, culpable in the narrative that was presented there. And as the resident left-leaning person, Crystal Ball's responsibility is to drag the conversation leftward. But she didn't. She's the catalyst there, you know? Yeah, that's my take, okay? Both sides were bad. Listen, that's my take on this episode of The Rising, you know? Both sides were pretty bad. The right and the far right. There we go. It all comes around full circle, baby. Listen, it's Squad W, okay? I just can't stand watching women not get blamed, you know?